Greetings, brothers. Welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel.
Hello, good evening, my friends. Thank you for being here. We're here for the weekly community submitted army show. If you don't know what this is, then every Sunday on the channel we go over typically 4 or 5 lists submitted by the community for people that just want a little bit of help in terms of making the army list better, improving their gameplay, stuff like that. That's what we're here to do. Please, someone give me a shout out in the chat if you can hear me okay. I think you can, but let me just check before we get started. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Zacharias. Hello, Mike. Dylan. Killer. Calgar. Lots of people here tonight. Nicholas. Chase McLeod. Sketch. Hadley. Zacharias. Cool. You can hear me loud and clear. Okay, good. Good. Nice to see you all, guys. Thanks for turning up every Sunday. I do appreciate it. If you get 2 seconds during the stream tonight, please hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. I'm sorry, my left arm is really sore at the moment. I've overdone it in the gym, so if you see me stretching it, it's just because I've really pulled a muscle back here or something. So, no gym day tomorrow for me, I think. Okay, let's get fired in. If you've got any heavy Blood Angels questions you want to ask, please just ask them in the chat. I'll try and get to them. The rule that we've been rumoured to be getting for the Brutalis is the Brutalis will not fight back. He gets the similar rule to the World Eaters that every time the enemy shoots at him, he will move d6 inches towards the enemy that shot at him. I believe it's going to be called something like Blood Craze or Blood Charge or Blood Surge or something like this. That's the rumour I've heard. Okay, Trenton is our first list for tonight, and he's playing Sons of Sanguinius with a double captain. So I was going to say we probably expect double Assault Intercessors, double Impulsor. There we go. We got Chaplain, we got Dante, we got Lamartas. Alright, I mean, 3 strong characters. You would kind of expect a couple of them, maybe not all 3 in the same list, but sure. We got 2 squads of Blade Guard, we got a 10 Death Company and a 5 Death Company, so that's the 5 with the Chaplain, the 10 with Lamartas. We've got a Lancer, we've got Dante with 10 Sanguinary Guard. We've got 2 units of Scout. It's interesting. I think, personally, a single Lancer is not worth the points you spend on it. Because I played a game against Space Wolves on the stream, not long ago. No, it was Dark Angels, actually, and they brought a single Lancer. And when you only bring 1 Lancer, typically you only end up getting the opponent fails 1 save against your Lancer, typically. Because you got to roll to hit, you got to roll to wound, then they're going to roll to save. So 1 thing goes through, and then you roll an average of a 3 on the damage. So you do 7 damage to 1 vehicle. So you don't actually kill anything with a single Lancer. You do 7 damage to a vehicle, and then next turn you're stuck. You're going to shoot the same vehicle you already did 7 damage to it and finish it off. I mean, that's probably the safe play. But the play that people get excited about is shooting another vehicle with the hope to kill it. And guess what? You do the exact same thing. You do 7 damage to the other vehicle as well. So I think if you have 2 Lancers, great. But if you only have 1, I think that's actually pretty hard to utilize well. It's not to be the same as running 1 Ballistus Dreadnought. It just... Yes, the opponent will fail a las cannon shot or a crack missile shot, but you're never going to kill anything with it. And I think that's the problem I have. I've seen single Lancers in a few lists, and when I come up against it, I came up against the single Lancer, I was just looking at it the whole game thinking, it's a single Lancer. That's kind of what you expect it to do, is yes, you can occasionally spike 8 damage into a target, but then that's it, right? You don't kill anything, you just spike 8 damage into it. Great. Double Scouts is good, I guess. 15 Death Company is good. Double Blade Guard is kind of interesting in that, I guess these are going to be Blade Guard that hold objectives, potentially. Are 3 Blade Guard better than a squad of Outriders for holding an objective, though? It's a tough question, actually. You know, because I guess for 2 squads of Blade Guard, you could get a squad of Heavy Intercessors and a squad of Outriders. If I was just thinking about controlling objectives, would I prefer 5 Heavy Intercessors and 3 Outriders over 2 Blade Guard? Probably. Because I guess all your Jump Marines are going to be pushing forward. Your Scouts are maybe going to help a little bit with actions. You've got the Impulsors that can also hold objectives. So yeah, maybe that's not too bad, actually, because if you've got Impulsors and a Blade Guard on an objective, your objective would feel pretty good. And I guess the Blade Guard could jump inside the transport or something and then jump back out. Yeah, so I mean, it's not too bad a list. It's very like Assault Intercessors, Impulsors, and Captains is very meta. And that's like 235 points per squad. So you've got 470 points on that super meta stuff. And then you've probably got like 600 points on Death Company. You're definitely taking advantage of the Sons of Sanguinius list here. But honestly, my opinion on this list is you probably need to change... I mean, as long as you can... Here, maybe this list doesn't need to change, but what you need to do is you need to be lancing with your heavy laser destroyer, your Lancer laser destroyer, whatever. I thought it was called a heavy laser destroyer. Maybe it's slightly different named. Whatever you're lancing, you need to be hitting with a unit the same turn, because you want lance anything to death. You'll lance things into a vulnerable state, but you won't actually kill anything. So don't like lance against like another Lancer on the backfield. Lance against something that's up front that then you can hit and finish off with your Death Company Marines or your Sanguinary Guard or your Scouts. So if you have 2 Lancers, I feel like you can hit backfield targets. That's not a problem. But if you have 1, I feel like shooting backfield targets is super risky. They're probably going to get cover. They can probably pay Armor of Contempt, and then at that point you're only -2 on your main cannon. So they save 1, they fail 1, and then you roll an average number. You do 7 damage to a backfield target, but you actually don't kill anything. So that's the problem with like the lack of weight of fire on the Lancer, right? 15 Death Company is good. 10 Sanguinary Guard with Dante is a little bit risky in this list because you got quite a lot of other toughness 4 Marines. So I think you just need to make sure that Do you know what? Probably you put Death Company plus Lamartes and the Sanguinary Guard and Dante into reserve, and then in one turn you Rapid Ingress 1 set, and one turn you Rapid Ingress the other set. That's probably the safest way to play them. You could fan out enough in the early game with those Impulsors to control the board, so I think you're probably fine. I don't think we need to tweak too much. Just if you play this game a few times and realise that single Lancer doesn't do enough, then we could tweak. And I suppose you could tweak those Blade Guards into Heavy Intercessors and Outriders as well if the Blade Guard aren't quite performing as you need them to. Having 1 Lancer there is still a feel factor. I don't think it is, man. If I play against an enemy that has a single Lancer, I'm happy. Because I'm like, 9 times out of 10, it will not kill anything in turn 1. And if all they have is a single Lancer, I will Oath of Moment it and hit it with all 3 of my vehicles, and it will be dead. 100%. Or statistically, I actually would be interested to know what the chances are. But, I mean, I killed an Orc. What the hell is that thing? Toughness 12, 16 wounds. Battle Wagon. So I killed a Toughness 12, 16 wound Battle Wagon at like 70, or like, maybe not 70 inches, like 48 inches. So if I can kill a Toughness 12, 16 wound Battle Wagon, then I for sure can kill a Toughness 10, 12 wound Lancer. So yeah, if they bring a Lancer, I'm not scared at all. I'm actually happy. I think a single, like, I'll play against lists with a single Lancer all day long. The chances of it killing something, I feel like, are pretty slim, and even if it does kill something, I'll probably kill it back with cheap return fire that I can do, and then I don't think a single Lancer is a fear factor. Maybe other lists are feared by a single Lancer, but my Blood Angels list isn't scared at all of it. I'm probably actually quite happy to play against them. Okay, we are looking at Yeah, I mean, I guess if the opponent have really bad saves, it might be a fear factor, Lamarta's. But I guess for Blood Angels or Space Marine chapters that bring cheap, because I bring really cheap fire support, right? I bring like Predator Destructors and Ballistus Dreadnoughts, which are the cheapest you can. Yeah, Land Raiders might be a little bit scared, but then a Land Raider could smoke screen and Armor of Contempt, and then it's only -2. So the Land Raider's got a 4-up. So you've got to hit the Land Raider on a 3-up. Yes, you get a reroll. Then you have to wound the Land Raider on a 3-up. Yes, you get a reroll. And then even if you manage to hit it twice and wound it twice, they have a 4-up save. So one of the 2 saves they make, statistically they pass. Then they could just command point the other one, and then it's like, okay, so you brought a Lancer, it cost me 1 command point, but did no damage, and now I'll just blow up your Lancer. I prefer Weight of Fire. I guess that's the problem when you've got like a really powerful single shot. You don't really think about it all that often, but it does happen, because I have run Lancers and I have run Repulsor Executioners, and I've shot stuff like Chaos Demons, and my opponent's just gone like, oh well, I'll just CP up the save to see what happens. Oh, I failed the I passed the invulnerable save, so your Lancer did literally no damage this turn. Ugh. Whereas, like, I guess that doesn't happen when you've got a bunch of cheap stuff like, 4 shots on the Ballistus Dread, 6 to 8 shots with Predator Destructors, If they CP one of them, it's not the end of the world. I guess Predator Destructors actually have like 10 shots in turn 1, potentially, because of or 9 shots with Hunter Killer Missile. Okay, hello John, my most recent list. This is Marcador. I used in a friendly match against Eldar. You've got Commander Dante leading 5 Sanguinary Guard. You've got Chaplain leading 5 Death Company. Carrying Thunderhammers. I mean, Thunderhammers was fine. Infernal Pistols and Power Fists is sort of the accepted stronger choice. You've got 2 Lieutenants, one with a Power Sword and Fist leading 5-man Hellblasters, transporting an Impulsor with a Shield Dome. 1 Ball Predator with Flamers and 1 Vindicator. A 3-man Inceptor Squad with Plasmas. 6 Eradicators led by the Biologist Helgen Reserve. 1 Outrider Squad. 2 Scout Squads. 1 Heavy Intercessor Squad. See, if you're going to send me a list in the future, I really prefer seeing it in like the actual Battle Scribe format, because it's really hard to break this down, right? Like, it's like Dante plus leading, Chaplain plus leading, 2 Lieutenants, plus the Hellblasters are built in on that line. Yeah, like it's much harder for me. It's not the standard format to go through, I guess. It's 1995 points. The 2 Impulsors, the Lieutenants and Hellblasters, each... Oh, right, sorry, each one. So 2 Lieutenants plus Hellblasters. Interesting choice. So he doesn't actually say if this is Sons of Sanguinius, but it probably needs to be Gladius. I don't think it's got enough melee units to justify Sons of Sanguinius. Each move to a different objective, supported by a Ball Predator and a Vindicator. Melee units arrive with Eradicators to hit where they're needed. Heavy Intercessors remain on the home field objective. On the field itself, the melee units support the Heavy Intercessors to save the central objective and home objective. The Eradicators, Bikes, Hellblasters, and Pulsars squad together on the left side. Tanks died the first round and took some damage with them. The right side was lost, and the Soul Impulsor there is destroyed, but infantry and the Lieutenant caused a lot of damage. Yeah, so I think this is a Gladius list. You got Lieutenants plus Hellblasters and Impulsors on one side. You got a Ball Predator on one side. You got the Vindicator tank on the other side. You got Eradicators and some jump units to arrive and do some deep striking stuff. I'd probably put both jump units into Rapid Ingress. I do think this list feels like it gets stat checked probably by like Knights, because it really does not have very much that hits at strength 10. You got 5 Death Company with their Thunderhammers. Everything else is hitting below strength 10. Yeah. So, I mean, Eradicators get some rerolls, cool. Inceptors get some rerolls, cool. The Sanguinary Guard could use your Red Rampage, but overall I feel like... actually, if this is Gladius, then those Death Company Marine Hammers are actually only strength 8. Yeah, this is a weird list. If this is a Sons of Sanguinius list, you do not have enough melee units to get the power from Sons of Sanguinius. I think to get the most power from Sons of Sanguinius, you want 1,300 points of melee units, give or take. And if you're not doing Sons of Sanguinius, then this list gets hurt. Like, I would be stat checked by knights big time. You'd be relying on the Eradicators to kill the knights, and the Eradicators can really only kill one knight per turn because, if I'm correct, the Eradicators have to target a single unit to get the rerolls. It's been a little while since I used the Eradicators. Total annihilation. Total obliteration, sorry. Every time a ranged attack made by this model targets a monster vehicle model, you can reroll. Oh no, it's not. They changed this. Okay. So you can split fire when the Eradicators. I guess that's fine, but like, because you would only be wounding on 5s, you would kind of need to shoot all 5 Meltas at one night. Because statistically, wounding on 5s is 55%, so 5 times 0.55. So you actually only make 2.75 wound rolls, and then if you average the 3.5 damage... So a whole squad of 6 Eradicators shooting a knight only does about 10 damage. Yes, you've added a biologist to give lethal hits, which helps a little bit. But yeah, you would get stat checked pretty hard by knights. You probably need to have 2 Vindicators here, Dr. Frankenstein says. Yeah, if you're doing...
I have awoken.
Hey, Black. Bright Knight, thank you so much for subscribing. If you're doing Gladius Task Force, because I took Gladius Task Force to a tournament, I took double Vindicator tank, I took a Repulsor, and I took a Ballistus Dreadnought, yeah. And that was like my anti-tank contingent. Beyond that, there was very little in my list that killed tanks, but that felt okay. Like double Vindicator tank, then the Ballistus and the Repulsor. The Repulsor has like 3 las cannon shots. The Ballistus probably has the equivalent of like 3 las cannons because it's got 2 las cannons and 2 crack missiles. Eradicator's the Lieutenant, I guess, is cool, but it's kind of niche and it gets stat checked a little bit. And yeah, so I don't know what this list is trying to do. Maybe he's trying to be Gladius. If he's trying to be Sons of Sanguinius, it needs a significant rethink. Zacharias says like 1,300 points of melee. Yeah, you're pretty much right, Zacharias. If you don't have that, then you're not getting the most out of Sons of Sanguinius. And when I figured that out, my Jim, we're not Horus. We just see Horus everywhere. If when I figured out that you need about 1,300 points of melee, that's when I sort of saw a huge change in my win rate from like, I mean, I was winning okay, I feel like, in 10th edition. Like, I went to a tournament and I think I did 3-2, and I was very, very close to doing 4-1. So my win rate must have been okay. It must have been like 60 or 70%, and then I got sorted on the 1,300 points of melee, and then my win rate jumped up to like 90%. I think the order of operation is quite skewed. I think I should use the Terminator Assault Squad to hold points. I mean, Terminators are durable. They're one of the most durable things that we have, Killer. I don't think I've got your list on the show this week. Yeah, if anyone's joining the show for the first time and you never submitted a list before, you can do that when the show ends. Simply put your list in the comments, and you'll likely be on the show next week. Okay, let's move on to ZZ Slipaway. He's got a Shooty Bathshy Death list of 2,500 points. Okay, I copied my list from Reddit because there's no love over there. Can you look over the list and let me know any criticisms you may have? Squad breakdowns and ideas down below. I've been playing against a friend of Necrons trying to build a strategy to beat them. I've played about 5 games and I've been swapping units in and out and see if it works. and the best I've managed to do is get absolutely tabled by turn 4. Okay. See, when you're swapping units in and out, try swapping like 1 or 2 units. Right? Don't be swapping mad amounts of stuff. You need to make like small incremental changes. Like analyze what is worst or what didn't perform. And don't swap stuff every game. I always feel like I played 2 units Outriders on my list, and the first game I played against was Eldar, and I lost all the Outriders in turn 1. If I'd swapped them out at that point, I would have never kept Outriders, which in turn actually let me win a grand tournament like 2 months later. My list, the Outriders got to stay in that list for a few games, even though in the first game they just got slaughtered in turn 1. They literally did nothing. Everyone was laughing on the live stream. They're like, oh, John's trying Outriders, they're all dead in turn 1. I think I might have had 1 bike left. So try not to make sweeping changes. I think the reason you maybe got no love on Reddit was like no one plays 2,500 points, or I guess this is 2,500 points. Like no one plays 2,500 points. Everyone plays 2,000. 2,000 is what tournaments play. I'll give it a shot, but I honestly don't know if I can even. I can't imagine what the game looks like at 2,500 points. It's been so long since I played more than 2,000. All right, you got Astaroth, you got Chaplain, you got Dante. Those are all fine. Yeah, I mean, they're all absolutely fine picks. You've got the squad of Intercessors, I assume, hold your home field objective. You've got 10 Assault Intercessors with jump packs. 10 is fine if you've got them attached to a priest. If they're not fine, I'd probably break them into 2 5s just so you can split them off. You can have twice as many power fists. You can do 2 things on the battlefield. You've got Ball Predators, you've got a Ballistus Dreadnought, you've got a small squad of Blade Guard, you've got the 10 Death Company Marines. I was going to say, if you're running 10 Death Company Marines, you should really consider Lamartez. He's the best leader for the 10-man. He basically doubles their durability against 2 damage weapons. It's pretty huge. You could probably try and find the point somewhere just because I don't run Lamartez in my list right now, but I know how good he is. He is the best leader that we have basically for Death Company. His lethal hits, because the Death Company reroll all hits, his lethal hits just work so well. He does so like when he's leading 10 Death Company, they do so much damage. They very rarely even need Red Rampage played on them. There's a great squad. And then they're -1 damage as well. You've got 10 in Cursors. Interesting. Not many people play in Cursors, and no one plays them in 10s. I can't see any advantage to running them in 10s. At this point, it feels a little bit like this list is maybe a little bit of a mashup of just everything you've got. It doesn't. Yeah, and Cursors are not a common unit, I would say, in 10th edition. Their knives are not that impactful. You're much more likely to see infiltrators. You've got the Land Raider Redeemer in here. You've got a Redemptor Dreadnought. I think Redemptor Dreadnought's on the channel. Why don't you use the 40k app to make your list? I think people do make their lists in the 40k app and then they send them to me like this in text, right? And then I review them. It would take me forever to put everybody's lists into the app, Cupid. And I guess by being here, if you're here every week, you'll get to a point where you start to understand what all the units are and you wouldn't have to click into the units, I guess, right? I think the consensus on the channel is Redemptor Dreadnoughts are too expensive for what they bring, right? They're like an expensive unit. They're not that strong. They're not that durable. They don't do all that much damage. And I think if you also have this one kind of badly armed, like I think the Plasma Cannon is the better option. And I also think the Onslaught Cannon, this is the easy to build version. And it's not great. I think you have to have the Plasma Cannon, but even then I think it's too expensive at 210 points, so I think there's a lot better options than the Redemptor Dreadnought right now. You got 10 Sanguinary Guard. They will obviously attach to Dante, and I mean that is a good play, but you need to put them in Rapid Ingress because Sanguinary Guard have like no survivability. 5 Assault Terminators with Storm Shields and Thunder Hammers. 5 regular Terminators with Stallarm Bolters, Chain Fists. If you're playing Sons of Sanguinius, I feel like you don't really need the Chain Fist because the +2 strength on the Power Fist probably makes up for it. I also think a Cyclone Missile Launcher is a better option here. I also think the Sergeant doesn't necessarily need a Power Sword. He should just have a Power Fist as well. So let's see what he's saying. He is placing the Intercessor Squad in the home field objective to sticky it and then moving around the back line to defend when possible. Sure. Placing the Death Company with Astaroth and cover in the middle of the deployment zone as a QRF. I have no idea. Quick Response Force, maybe. Your 10-man Death Company with your character and your 10-man Sangre Guard with your character are probably going to do better in Rapid Ingress than they are by placing them on the board. Unless the terrain is super favourable. You're placing the jump intercessors with a jump chaplain on one side near the line to move up and try and get early points and secondaries until I can get into combat range. Placing the Sangre Guard and Dante in a mirror position to the jump intercessors. No. Do not place Sangre Guard on the board at the moment, dude. They're way too weak. Everyone will see them. Everyone will kill them. They're horrific. They're for the points like survivability is like their survivability is like a tiny. This is a normal Marine, right? Normal Marine in this hand, Sangre Guard in this hand. So the Sangre Guard survivability is like that versus a normal Marine. Their cost is like that. And that's literally what every opponent will take advantage of. They'll be like, those guys are horrifically expensive. They feel so painful to lose. I wouldn't start the Sangre Guard on the board. Make sure they get the Alpha Strike. Put them in reserve, Rapid Ingress them. If you haven't been watching my videos about doing that, I've got like the fourth tournament game coming up. I'm literally showing you how I won the GT using the Sangre Guard in Rapid Ingress every single game. Use the Teleport Homer near the middle of the table edge to drop both squads of Terminators in turn 2. I mean, if you want to. Use the Dreadnought somewhere in the line, mirroring each other, letting them do their fire support thing. Well, this Dreadnought isn't really fire support. Honestly, if you're pushing that much melee forward, you might honestly be better than having 2 Ballistus Dreadnoughts than the Redemptor Dreadnought. The Redemptor Dreadnought, I feel, is doing very little for you. It's definitely not a fire support profile that you've got. You've got one gun and an Onslaught Cannon. I think an Onslaught Cannon on average does like 1.5 dev wounds. It's absolute dog shit. I don't understand. The only reason it's 210 points is because like Iron Storm was abusing it or something. Like it's a dog shit weapon on a way too expensive platform. You can get a Vindicator tank for like 35 points cheaper. If you're looking for fire support, get that the hell out of there. Lastly, you're loading Land Raider with Blade Guard and Incursors to let them go play the mid-board, and the Ball Predator acting as an escort. I feel like if you've got a Land Raider Redeemer, you don't need to. They don't need a Ball Predator escort. The Redeemer Overwatch is probably enough. Yeah, 2,500 points is weird because it just feels like there's a lot of units in this list. But you have a lot of units that are not competitive, right? The main problem I keep running into is my opponent shoots my transports and heavier infantry to bits before they get a chance to engage in close, and then he reanimates most of the shooting damage I do. His list always includes like Imhotep, the Catan, 2 other characters, Deathstalker, Annihilating Barge, Doomsday Ark, Wraiths, Immortals, Lich Guard, and Warriors. Any advice? Well, for playing Necrons, the advice of playing Necrons is, and his general rule is, you have to kill units fully. You never want to leave any unit half strength or low strength where they can regenerate models, right? That's like the golden rule of thumb for playing against Necrons. Like, if you can't kill the models, there's if you can't wipe the squad, there's almost no point shooting it. I mean, sometimes you get forced into, like, you have to kill the squad, or you have to shoot the squad because you get no other targets. I get that. But you need to be focusing targets on units. And here's the thing, like, Ballistus Dreadnoughts are not going to kill... What they're going to do, they're going to kill, like, 4 Warriors, or a couple of Lich Guard. Your Redemptor Dreadnought's is not going to kill any of those. Your Redeemer's going to do okay, your Ball Predator might do okay, but they're going to need backup. And like you said, he's going to be blowing those things off the map the second they move forward. So I think you probably need to have a rethink some of these models. And also 2,500 points is a really weird number. I don't know why you're playing 2,500 points. You should play at 2,000 because there's so much more good reference of people running good 2,000 points lists. Dr. Frankenstein says, here's hoping the Death Company Brutalis is 160 points with the Death Company Dreadnought rules. I think they've already basically said that the Death Company Dreadnought rules are going to be different. Greetings, David. How you doing? Rapid Ingress threats that get taken seriously. The Catan are Batty level of staying power. Yeah, so, well, here's the thing, though, right? Like, you know he's going to have the Catan Nightbringer in there. So, place a unit like your 10 Death Company or Dante and Sangre Guard, and the second he moves, because the Catan just can't stay in the backfield, right? It's got like a 12-inch range. Maybe it's got an 18-inch range. It's been a while since I played the Nightbringer. He's got 12-inch range, right? Range. Okay, so he's got an 18-inch range, right? So he's going to have to come out. I mean, if you spend 300 points for a unit that's going to sit in your backfield like a coward, you're probably going to lose the game because you wasted 300 points on a unit that's sitting in your backfield doing nothing. So he's probably going to have to come out. If he's got an 18-inch range, then statistically, it basically says, like, if he can ever shoot you, then you can deal with him in rapid ingress, right? Because you can rapid ingress 12.1 inches away, you can jump forward 12.1 inches, you can shoot him with God knows how many infernal pistols, and then you can charge him and instantly kill him from full health. Like, you can deal with a Catan. I killed an Avatar when I was playing against Eldar in one turn, I think. Same deal, right? Like, my opponent was a little bit more cagey with his Avatar. His Avatar finally came out in, like, turn 3. I just dropped the Sangre Guard, like, 12.1 inches away and absolutely swarmed the Avatar. I think he used a Fate dice to get, like, a 6 on Overwatch. So he speared a couple of my Sangre Guard. But we still killed them, you know, like, so this is a bit of a weird list. The Sangre Guard plus the 10 Death Company potentially being reserved. The units that are not good here right now, I guess, are, I think Assault Terminators are overcosted for what they do. The Thunderhammers do not have good enough weapon skill. Redemptor Dreadnoughts are overcosted. Heavy Flamers and Onslaught Cannons are not a great fire support profile. Incursors are not popular at the moment. They don't do a lot of damage. They don't have good OC anymore. I guess they've got the mines, but overall I think that the strength of the Incursors is a lot less. You don't have any scouts here, so you can't screen the board and you can't score actions very easily. The Redeemer and the Ball Predator are fine. You don't have a problem with them. The Jump Intercessors are potentially split into 5s. Just because it lets you move them in multiple places and get an extra Power Fist in the unit. 3 Blade Guard, I guess, inside the Redeemer is fine. But I'd probably try and put something more exciting inside the Redeemer, right? Like, Incursors don't feel threatening inside the Redeemer. You know, like a lot of people doing the Impulsors with Assault Intercessors and Captains, that's super strong. That might be where I take this list, right? Like, I could probably say, like, you know, remove that Redemptor Dreadnought for 210 points. Remove these guys for, like, that gives us up to, like, 370 points. Well, what could we do with 370 points? Could we have an Impulsor? We could have a Captain. We could have a unit of Assault Intercessors. That's, like, 235. So we still have, like, 140 to play with. Well, we could make this Blade Guard squad, like, into a 6. That feels a lot more threatening. A 6 Blade Guard inside of a Redeemer is much scarier, and we could maybe get a character with them. I'll maybe try and swap out these Assault Terminators for something better, be it you know, this is one of the, you know, when you talk about Necrons as well, I guess I really like Predator Destructors. I don't know why so many people don't like them. Because I think they're very, very good for multi-purpose. Like, a Predator Destructor can kill vehicles, but it can also get 8 pretty high AP shots into Necron infantry, and every failed save at high AP is a dead Necron. So, yeah. Remember the golden rule of thumb. Get rid of some of these units that are not competitive. And I'd probably try and start playing 2,000-point games, because I don't think the game's maybe balanced all that well for 2,500 points. It's hard to say. I've never felt the need, because I remember back in like 2nd edition, everyone played like 3,000 points, and 3,000 points was the norm. But I remember when they lowered it to 2,000 points, I was like, I don't want to play 2,000 points. I like 3,000, but 2,000 is just. I think the game's probably balanced around 2,000. It wouldn't necessarily try and go for more points. More points might sound like more fun, but I think it's probably harder for them to balance that. The AP1 on the primary cannon is underwhelming, says Calgar. I mean, if you shoot infantry, it's AP2, right? And if your las cannons shoot infantry, they're AP4. And your bolters are AP1 against infantry. Your hunter killer missiles AP4 against infantry. I think that... well, I mean, I want a GT with 2 Predator Destructors in my list, right? And, like, honestly, the amount of games that the Predator Destructors are MVP in... Here's the... yeah, I want to say, like, Predator Destructors are just... I'm in love with them. I love them so much. I think they're so strong for 130 points. I just think they're versatile. And yeah, AP1 sucks if you're shooting armor. But I almost see, like, any damage that autocannon does to armor is just bonus. Right, when you're shooting an enemy armor, you're not really expecting an autocannon to do much. You're expecting the 2 las cannons to do much. Dr. Frankenstein's on the same page as me. I'd run 3 Destructors if I had 3. I ran 2 in a Ballistus Dreadnought, probably. But then here's the thing, I actually kind of like the crack missiles in the Ballistus Dreadnought, and I like the fact that you can frag at Strength 5. I played Orcs twice at the event, and frag missiles with Strength 5 into big squads of Orcs is actually pretty nice. There's not that many useful... Like, there's not many times when you're shooting the frag missiles from the Ballistus Dreadnought that it feels that good, right? Like, I very rare... Like, I could maybe play, like, 10 games and never use the frag missiles from the Ballistus. And then you play Orcs that have all these giant squads of guys who are all in T5, and you think to yourself, that frag missile is actually pretty interesting. Apparently, things aren't loading though. Here we go. Ballistus Dreadnought. Yeah, you got 48 inches, BS3 plus. Remember, you get to reroll hits if the unit is not below half strength. So if you're shooting a big squad of orcs, you're rerolling all your hits. You're getting potentially like +4 from the blast. So you're starting at 4 plus 2d6 strength 5 shots. I think it's alright. I think it's alright. Rerolling all hits. Okay, let's move on to Justice Mobile, who is list number 4 for tonight. So we got 44 people watching the stream. We got 23 likes on it. So if you are one of the 21 people that don't like the stream, be cool and like the stream. What are you hoping to see from the Blood Angels Codex? Well, I think what we know we're going to see is we're going to lose 5 data sheets. We're going from, I think, 19 data sheets down to 14. Maybe 15, but we think maybe 14. So we're probably going to lose like 4 or 5 units. So let's just hope that the other units get buffed. I don't think there's much else we can say about that US nobody, I'm afraid. As soon as more information comes out, I'll make some videos about it. So we've got a captain with a jump pack, we've got a double chaplain with a jump pack, we got Seth, and we got a lieutenant with a combi weapon. So double assault intercessors with jump packs. We've got a squad of company heroes. I assume they're with a captain or with Seth. We have 2 5-man death companies, I guess, with both chaplains. We've got double infiltrator squads to screen the backfield. Man after my own heart, we got 1 Predator Destructor. I would love it if this had been 2. I guess 1 is okay. 1's going to suffer the same problem as I was talking earlier with a single Gladiator Lancer. If you bring 1 tank, you have very little redundancy if the opponent kills it, and also 1 tank probably never kills anything in a single turn. You need, here's the amazing thing, I guess, about, like, when I was running 2 Predator Destructors, or even if you were running 3 Predator Destructors, if you're running a lot of stuff that doesn't need rerolls to hit, like Death Company, like Assault Intercessors with Jump Pack, like Sanguinary Guard, then you can use your Oath of the Moment on the tank's target, and if you've got multiple tanks that are benefiting from that, it's very powerful. So you get 10 Sanguinary Guard, they'll be the captain of the Jump Pack. You've got 3 squads of Scouts, Couple of squads of scouts have knives. One of them has a heavy bolter and a sniper rifle. That's fine. You've got 2 little squads of van vets. So this is very much like an MSU list. Lots of little units. 2 assault intercessors. I'm really sad that you don't have a transport for Seth with the... I assume he's with the company heroes. The 2 Death Company, the 2 Vanguard veterans, the 10 Sanguinary Guard, the 3 scouts. Alright, so hello Blind Angels Commander, I'm looking for feedback in regard to which direction to take this list, if it needs to be adjusted at all. Chaplains both go with the Jump Death Company, the Captain of the Sanguinary Guard, Seth with the Company Heroes, the Combi Weapon Lieutenant Infiltrators Community on my side. The plan is to rapid ingress the Sanguinary Guard for free and pressure the opponent's side of the No Man Lands objective. You don't even need to do that. You just need to have them ready to in rapid ingress to deal with whatever threats that you deem like the most problematic, right? If you do that with 10 Sanguinary Guard, and I do Dante, but this as a captain, then you'll be in good shape, right? The Vanguard vets can perform actions that complete the end of the opponent's turn because of their invulnerable save. So can the Combi Weapon Lieutenant. Seth and the Company Heroes stage and move on to the center objective. I would really like to see like Seth and the Company Heroes in a transport. I think that makes them a lot better. Having advance and charge with the opponent can really help with Seth. Yeah, but having him in a transport that could advance forward in turn 1, I think is, and then advance and charge in turn 2, I think is just generally amazing. I generally like to have 1 Death Company and Jump Intercessor Squad in Deep Strike and bring them in as needed. Yeah, I would probably have... So in the tournament I won, every game I did 5 Death Company with a Chaplain, 10 Sanguinary Guard with Dante, and then 5 Jump Intercessors. So I had 3 units in Deep Strike every single game. And I guess in turn 2, I was usually looking to Rapid Ingress 1, and then in turn 3, I was looking to Rapid Ingress 1, and then if I, like if situation was good, or if I just needed some more support, that was usually where I was putting the 3rd unit. Typically, I was Rapid Ingress in the Sanguinary Guard and the Death Company, and I was just putting the Jump Intercessor somewhere they could score, or to shore up an objective I felt that was a little bit weak, or something like that. You got 3 units of scouts and 2 infiltrators, maybe overkill. I don't think it is, because so my list for scoring at the tournament was 2 units of outriders, 2 units of jump intercessors, and a unit of scouts, and then I had infiltrators as well. So I basically had 6 units that could score points. You have 5 here. I guess you could add in some of those Vanguard veterans or jump intercessors. So I think 5 or 6 units that can score points is not overkill. I think that's the right amount. And you're going to lose some of those units as well, right? So you still need to score points when those units die. I'm thinking of dropping 1 scout and 1... I think you could possibly drop 1 squad of infiltrators. The other thing you could do here is you could drop a squad of infiltrators and a squad of scouts and replace with 2 units of outriders, which actually might be really more interesting, because outriders I feel like are fast, scoring, OCing, and a little bit killy with their chainswords. You could include more ballistics or a ball predator simply to have more shooting. I do think this list would benefit from having that 2nd predator destructor. I'm also open to losing enhancement on the Combi Lieutenant to put 20 more points back in the pool. Curious in your thoughts and tips. Any value? Always value your point of view. Big love to you and all the other Angels Battle Brothers. Look at that. What a nice guy. Cool. I'm confused. Can you still have 10 in the Death Company with or without jump packs? I mean, until the new codex comes out, War Thunder, you can still have 10 with or without jump packs, whatever you want to do. Nothing's changed as of yet. The vets are decent for objectives that complete on your own turn. Yeah, so are outriders, so are impulsors, Ryan. I think you're right. Are jump packs... Our jump pack Death Company loser Thunderhammers, do we think, says Chris. Yeah, they're probably going to be very restricted, I would assume, similar to Assault Intercessors. Yeah. Bear says it's a Super Sunday Blood Angels Appreciation, always live John Commander show. Thanks, dude. Very kind. Thanks for hanging out, Bear. Yeah, so I think... I do think having 1 tank is the wrong play, right? Like, and I wrestled with this in my list for a while. And basically what I was trying to find out in my list was like, I like fire support in my list. I think it adds an extra element, and I've always had it in my list. And in 9th and 10th edition, or 9th edition mainly, my fire support used to consist of Contemptor Dreadnoughts with the Volkites, or Redemptor Dreadnoughts with plasma cannons, and I very rarely ran tanks at all, or transports. I don't think I ever ran them at all or in 9th edition. And In 9th edition, I did pretty well. I got to the top table of tournaments multiple times, and when I got to the top table of tournaments, I typically had 3 dreadnoughts. I think it was like the Redemptor Dreadnought. I think the best list I had was like a Redemptor Dreadnought and 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts. So I had 3 fire support units. They're coming in a bit more expensive, right? Back then, I think 3 Dreadnoughts was probably like 450 points. So I guess when I'm building my list, I'm trying to find like 300 or 400 points is probably the ideal number. Like, I want to keep it low, but I want to get as much shooting or the best bang for the buck as I can. And the list that I did was 2 Destructors and a Ballistas, which is bang on 400 points. But if you add up all the weapons that those things have at 48 inches, they can do like 70, I believe it was 78 damage a turn at 48 inches, right? So if my opponent ignores my tanks, because he's being flooded with jump infantry and death company and Sangre Guard and impulsors, those tanks can do 78 points of damage a turn, not the game, a turn. They can do 78 points of damage per turn. So what I found was, if people ignore my tanks will win me the game, and my tanks will be MVP in the game, because they're just ignored in their shooting, and I'm usually able to use Oath of Moment on them, because I don't need it elsewhere because of the Death Company, and because in my list I use Dante with Sangre Guard to get the +1 to hit. I don't really need Oath of Moment anywhere else. So those tanks would take over the game and win me the game. So in a list like this, I feel like it's tricky though, right? Because Seth can't go in impulsors. And I guess company heroes can't go in a Rhino, I believe. So the way you're going to deliver Seth in a vehicle is going to be a repulsor. So if this was me, I would actually probably try and find a way of getting a repulsor into this list. How we do that is tricky. Right, hold on, my daughter just woke up. One sec. Oh, really? Okay, hello. My wife just handed me money as I'm walking in the door. Very kind. Yeah, I think you need a repulsor here, right? And getting it is a tricky thing, but I think the thing about this list is I think if you do add that repulsor, the interesting thing you would do is you would actually up your fire support. I think not many people have played the repulsor at 180 points. Payment for services rendered. No, we're actually starting to sell all our baby stuff because we're not having any more babies. 2 babies is plenty, Mike. So we're selling everything secondhand, buggies, changing bags, all that sort of stuff. So we sold like a bike for a 2-year-old today, £10. You don't get very much secondhand, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Gets it out of our house, right? Our house is full of baby stuff. Yeah, Seth can go in an impulsor if the unit he's leading is a Primaris unit. Oh, interesting. Okay. I didn't know that, Jim. Thank you for clarifying. Oh well, cool. So can Seth go in the impulsor with the company heroes? Why are people not doing that more? Because that's an awesome squad. This is what I get for not using Seth. I was actually going to make a list for Seth, but I'm in the next few weeks. Drop 5 scouts, 5 infiltrators, and get a lancer. That would help, says Krychek. Yeah, I mean, that would help. Another predator instructor would be a not bad option as well. A ballista shred is not the worst option here. The repulsor, though, I guess, could be an option too. The same thing, drop the infiltrators, drop the scouts, drop that enhancement. What did he say? An enhancement up at the top for 20 points. Artisan of War. Yeah, I think that's a kind of a wasted enhancement on the combi lieutenant, honestly. He's low in operative, so it's going to be like low value. So yeah, you could put him a repulsor. So can Seth lead company heroes? He can indeed. Company heroes have the Tacticus keyword. The impulsor says can transport 7 Tacticus models. So Seth, by joining the company heroes, does he get the Tacticus keyword? How does that actually work, Jim? Can you explain that to me? Seth with assault intercessors. Yeah, but the thing is, the difference between the assault intercessors and the company heroes is an interesting one, right? The company heroes are like twice as survivable. So if you think about Seth jumping in and doing a ton of damage, which we know Seth's going to do, right? Because he's going to charge in with like 7 attacks. He's probably going to get at least 1 extra attack from his aura, right? Because there's probably going to be 5 enemies within like the 12-inch circle around him, or the 6-inch radius, which is a 12-inch circle. So he's probably going in with like at least 8, probably 9 attacks with sustained. He's doing 3 damage. So probably what your opponent's going to try and do is get rid of Seth. They're going to try and slaughter him. If he's only with company heroes, then it's going to be very easy to chew through 5... if he's only with assault intercessors, it's very easy to kill 5 assault intercessors. It is not easy to kill 4 company heroes. Company heroes are super durable, right? So, can a Sanguinary Priest join company heroes? Good question. I have no idea. No. I don't think so. But the thing is, you don't need to, right? No, it can't. It can't. So I would just do Seth with the company heroes. I would drop the Scottish Scouts, and I'd drop one of those. I'd drop this enhancement to get an impulsor. Because I think that makes Seth so much more deadly. I do also think that there is potential in this list to try and get that second tank. And I think there is value in the second tank. The thing you've got to remember is the impulsor can do actions too. The impulsor's pretty fast. Your opponent's not really going... Like, see the games I've played against Eldar. Eldar never really shoot an impulsor. Because what's an impulsor got on it? Like 14 bolt guns or something. It's not 14 bolt guns, but it's like 14 strength 4 shots, right? You've got a stubber on there, and you've got a couple of storm bolters. So it's like, your impulsor's going to be able to linger around. They're not going to want to kill it. Unless they think they can kill it and get to the unit inside in the same turn, which I feel like is unlikely. Yeah. I think it's hard. Well, when I did the math, Ryan, last week, it's literally company heroes are twice as survivable as assault intercessors for 20 points more. So if you're wanting Seth to be alive for 1 more turn, it's probably worth paying a 20. Like, yes, you can reroll 1s with assault intercessors when Seth's attached for the wound roll, but I think like the way I always try and look at it is like, what's going to give me more value, right? Like, if I get to reroll a couple of 1s, for example, with Seth's sword, or his sword, his chainsword, for like 1 turn, is that going to be more value? Is that going to be more valuable to me than potentially Seth being alive for a whole other turn? And I think my answer is going to be, well, Seth alive for a whole other turn is going to be way more valuable than like re-rolling a couple of ones on his chainsword, right? And then here's the thing, if there's only one company hero left, then I assume it's the one that's got like weapon skill 2 and 7 attacks at 2 damage with his mastercrafted power sword. So that's pretty useful as well. Did I count it for priests? No, I just counted it. So 5 assault intercessors versus 5 company heroes. I mean, the video is on the channel, Ryan. I'm actually, yeah, I mean, somebody that uses Seth, I'm a little surprised you didn't watch it, but it's if you go on the channel, it's this one. Company heroes versus assault intercessors. 9 days, it's got 4,500 views on it, so some people watch it. So yeah, you pay 20 points more, but you have double the survivability against just about everything. Because you have 16 wounds versus the 10, and you're permanently -1 to wound. Seth having a Sanguinary Priest making him AP3 is good, but is it game breaking? Like if you're fighting Death Guard Terminators, then -2 is the best you can do against them anyway, right? They're on a 4-up invuln. I think AP above 2, it's a bit like, I mean, it is useful, but it doesn't come up as often as you might like it to, right? Like, you know, anything that's got a 3-up save and a 5-up invuln, which is a good amount of stuff, right? Like demons and stuff like that. You're getting nothing. Diminishing returns after AP2. Thank you, Calgar. That's what I'm looking for. So yeah, I think this list would probably benefit most from losing a squad of scouts, getting an impulsor, losing that enhancement. That'd be the simplest change. Get that impulsor there so Seth you can just advance the impulsor forward turn 1, try and roll a 6 on it and get it forward 18 inches, hide it in a piece of terrain in no man's land, so if you do pull the sabotage objective it can just sabotage it, or sit it on an objective in no man's land as well, and then you've got your massive, you've got Seth coming out, moving 3 inches, moving 6 inches, advancing and charging into anything. He's probably going to live for a turn because he'll kill a lot of stuff, and then the company heroes are super difficult to get rid of. How often do you put a lieutenant in your company heroes? I've never done it, man. I only just started using the company heroes like 6 weeks before I took them to GT, but I think they're amazing because of their ability to linger, and the fact that they're OC2, I think makes them a really strong choice. Because I always find, like, let's face it, anytime you've got toughness 4 infantry on an objective, how often do you just lose all of them on the objective? You know, like, it happens like all the time, right? If you're a Space Marine player and you only put 1 unit of like toughness 4 guys on an objective, pretty much your opponent will be able to kill that whole unit, and then you won't even hold it next turn and score secondaries. So that's the easy change. The second change, I think, is try and add a second tank into this list. Because I think if you've got 1 tank, you probably suffer from the fact that you can only do so much with 1 tank. It doesn't kill anything. And I guess you would have to lose like a squad of infiltrators, and you might... That's where it gets tricky. But I actually don't think the repulsor idea in this list is the worst idea in the world. But yeah, I don't recommend just having 1 tank. I think it's a waste of points. Chris says, any quick tips for fighting Tau? Just got into 40k with my mate and he destroys me before I can make it across the board. Chris, I was going to say, you need to... which country are you in? You need to get like the actual official terrain maps, because 40k is actually supposed to be played on a very dense table, and if he's destroying you before you're getting across the board, then it feels unlikely that you have enough terrain on the board. Like when I play Blood Angels, and I've been playing them for years, think of it that, like, in turn 1, he shouldn't be able to kill anything if he goes first. Right? He should literally have 0 targets on the board. If he's able to see anything in your list in turn 1, then you probably don't have enough terrain on the board. Alright, we're moving on to Shadow Knight, and this is the final list for tonight. If you want to get your list on the show for next week, drop it in the comments when the stream ends. Alright, we got the Chaplain with Jump Pack, we got the Martes, we got Sanguinary Priest, and we got the Sanguinor, and we have a Rhino. We have 10 Assault Intercessors with Jump Packs. I mean, I could be tempted to split these into 2 5s, just because you get an extra Power Fist, and it lets you react to 2 different places on the board at once. Depends on how many units he's got, I suppose, across his list. We've got the 2 Death Company 5s, they'll be inside the Rhino, they got Plasma Pistols and Power Fists. We got the 10 Death Company Infernal Pistols and Power Fists. They'll be with Lamartes. We got the 2 units of Inceptors with Plasmas. I like it. We have a squad of Infiltrators. We have a squad of Scouts. We have a 10-man squad of Vanguard Veterans. They will be with the Sanguinary Priest. We got the Sanguinor. And then we've got the Calidus Assassin. So a 100% melee list. Decided to go with more infantry and go away from vehicles. Testing the Inceptors to take out valuable targets and potentially score points after Deep Strike. They will get replaced by 2 times 5 Death Company if it doesn't work out. Also, Assassins with the new 12-inch Aura Vect is OP, and use it before it's gone. Yeah, I mean, the Assassin, a lot of people are taking the Assassin pick right now, thinking it's very strong. Go to ground doesn't give cover in melee. No, unfortunately it doesn't. Okay, so this is a very, very melee heavy list. We're not seeing too many of these at the moment. The only real shooting units are the Inceptors. So Infiltrators to hold the backfield. You've got 10 Vanguard, 10 Death Company, 10 Assault Intercessors, 2 5 Death Company, the Rhino, the 2 characters. Chaplain's leading all the Death Company, and then the Sanguinor are coming in for some fight first shenanigans. I think it's a reasonably strong melee list, but I'm not 100% on board with lists that are 100% melee at the moment. Like, I think a lot of people are running the Impulsors because the Impulsors are very good at also scoring. I think that the fact they've got an invulnerable save is really powerful as well. I mean, I do like the Assassin. I do like the utility the Sanguinor gives me. But I think if you are screened by these in a list like this, or if you come into a bad matchup, and I can think of a few bad matchups here. I think this could be a bad matchup into Death Guard, actually. Because Death Guard have like multiple fight firsts, they have multiple anti-infantry flamers. This could also be a bad matchup into Drukhari, because Drukhari can like flood their lists with anti-infantry on those Venoms. And I forget the little squads of guys they put in the Venoms. Is it the Kabalite Warriors that also have a ton of anti-infantry? So yeah, you could come unstuck into a couple of things like that. I mean, 20 Death Company Marines is very strong with Power Fists. 10 Vanguard Veterans with the Priest is also very strong. Infiltrators, Inceptors to potentially bully some weaker objectives is potentially strong here. I could be a little bit scared of Knights as well with this list, actually. Because against Knights, everything is going to hinge on these Death Company. Because let's face it, Assault Intercessors don't really kill Knights. The Sanguinor doesn't kill Knights. Vanguard Veterans with Jump Packs, I can't imagine they kill Knights too effectively. They're only Strength 6, or Strength 7 on the charge. They only wound on 5s. Vanguard Veterans have how many attacks again? They've got lethals. So you get 50 attacks, but you only wound on 5s. So even if you hit with all 50, you're only getting like 16 wounds. So at -2, Knight save on 5. Like the 10 Vanguard Veterans with the Priests maybe do 10 damage to a Knight, which is not ideal if you don't have any. You haven't got any shooting to whittle them down in advance. So yeah, I think as good as like everything is in this list, like everything is a good pick, right? Like Chaplain with Death Company and Rhinos are good, the Death Company with Lamartes is good, the Sanguinary Priest with Vanguard Veterans is good, but I do worry that you might get unstuck against a few different armies here. You've got the lethals to factor in as well. Well, I factored in that you hit 50 times, man. I don't think you're going to hit 50 times, right? You're going to hit... you're only going to hit 33 times statistically, so probably the 16 extra hits I gave you probably makes up for the lethals, right? Because the lethal is only 1 in 6, right? So out of your 33 hits, I guess like 8 would be lethals? A quarter? Yeah. Yeah, it's probably pretty similar. Yeah. I'd be a bit worried about playing knights. I might be a bit worried about Drukhari. I might be a bit worried about having to have CP for fight on death with the Death Guard. I don't know. I like having my lists as like this multi-pronged attack thing where it's like if they ignore... They kind of have a choice when they play me, right? Like, I'm actually really curious to know how many of my games I had like a lot of vehicles left at the end. Because I think in every game that I played at the tournament, I had vehicles left at the end, right? Like I know in the final game against the Orcs, I had all 3 left, like the 2 Predator Destructors and the Ballista Dreadnought, because the Orc list was all melee. So I just had my tanks screened, and I had them played pretty defensively, and they just peppered the Orcs for friggin' 5 turns. So I mean, if you break that down, like my 400 points gave me what 10 las cannon shots? No, 6 las cannon shots for 5. So I got 30 las cannon shots. I probably got like 30 autocannon shots and like 10 crack missiles. And he had no return fire for that. Literally nothing. And that only cost 400 points, which is kind of big. Codex soon, should I prepare lists without Death Company? I think probably what we'll see, McFatson, is we'll see cheaper Death Company with less weapon options. So maybe like where at the moment you would run 2 squads of 5 with all like power fists, you'll maybe get 3 squads, but they'll just do a lot less damage. I think Blood Angels players may be forced to rethink. If your list, like my list only has 10 Death Company in it, I might even be forced to rethink, because if I've got 10, like those Death Company were so powerful, so useful, they're just going to be like scaled down. 10% or whatnot. Nurgle demons are quite nasty. Well, the problem with Nurgle demons is if they've got Nurglings, right? Because Nurglings make you -1 to hit, and for melee infantry, that's the rule. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's infantry only. It might be infantry and maybe it's just not monsters and vehicles. Apparently I can't spell Nurgling. Nurgling. Yeah, it shows that I'm not a heretic. I can't spell these stupid names. Nurgling. Surely that's how you spell it. Yeah. They have like -1 to hit for infantry, right? While enemy units, excluding monsters and vehicles, are within 6 inches of the unit, melee is -1 to hit. So if your opponent was just like peppering the board with Nurglings, right? And you've just brought all like 1900 points of melee. Ugh. Unless you're going to use your Inceptors to kill Nurglings, which I would argue is like the most waste of a resource ever. But I mean, like, when you are playing against Nurglings, you do want to kill them with shooting units, right? Like, if you've got the shooting units, you 100% want to kill Nurglings with shooting units. Because just because this is an aura, they can make it really difficult for you to do your melee damage. And the Nurglings do survive. They got like a 6-up feel no pain as well, right? That's what they've got. 6-up invulnerable. I believe they've got a 6-up feel no. Maybe they lost their 6-up feel no pain. Maybe it's just the 6-up invulnerable. Yeah. Maybe Death Company will get cheaper and get a 4-up feel no pain. That could be spicy, Jim. Yeah. Let's hope that that's what they get. Who knows? All right. I need to butt off. Thank you so much for watching tonight. If you do want to get your list on the show for next week, you can put your list in the video description. If you haven't liked the stream yet, please do that. Remember, there's no live battle report on Wednesday this week, so nothing on the 7th, but we will be live on the 8th. And the game on the 8th is going to be a rematch of the GT final. So Garen is bringing the exact same orc list that he brought to the GT. I'm bringing my exact same Blood Angels list. We're going to rematch the final. The final was an 81-point draw. So I'm assuming it's going to be a close game. So Thursday night, 7 o'clock, come and I was going to say hopefully I do myself justice and win the rematch. But even if I lose the rematch, I still have the first place trophy behind me. I'm not giving that up. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys for Thursday night for the GT final rematch. It should be pretty fun. So enjoy your week. I'll see you then. If there's any more new leaks or new Blood Angel stuff, we'll try and get a video out. I was actually working on a video before I came live. I'm trying to do a quick video in the Firstborn Death Company box. Because it is very good and it's probably worth picking one up if you haven't. You get a lot of stuff in that Firstborn Death Company box. Honestly, like I was going to say, I forgot how much you got in it. I think you get... I was going to say, like, I was like throwing this together. And I was like, I was looking at it, and it's like at the bottom here, along this bottom row, you get 16 shoulder pads, right? And all of them are like fancy Death Company shoulder pads or fancy Blood Angels-y shoulder pads. And you got 2 more up here. So you get pretty much 20 shoulder pads with this kit. It makes sense there's like 5 guys in there, but this kit is a gold mine, I think, for little bits and bobs and stuff you can make out of it. So yeah, it'll be hours before it dies, and then when it dies it'll go on eBay for a ton more money. I guess we'll see. Alright, enjoy your weekend, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next couple of days. Tune in Thursday night. Have a great evening. Good night.